Hey everybody, Will Martin here. Hope you're having a good day. I had an interesting discussion, or at least I thought it was interesting, with a couple of students the other day about the topic of experts. And specifically, they asked me, what makes an expert an expert? And then their second question was, am I an expert? So I jumped at the chance to answer both of these questions, and I have some pretty strong convictions on the subject. So, whether you agree or disagree with me, hear me out and then tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. The first question was what makes an expert an expert? So, my answer is this, and it's pretty straightforward. Someone who has a pretty large well of knowledge or, a lot of experience and wisdom on a particular topic. But what I think really makes the definition unique in my mind is the ability of that person to say that they don't know, the ability to show some humility while at the same time offering to find the answer. So, through my practice and academic experience, I've had the pleasure to work with a lot of true experts, people that I really thought were expert. Each one that comes to mind never hesitated to say, I'm not sure. Let me get back to you on that. To me, that's what was missing during our recent public health crisis. And that's really what prompted this discussion with the students was, talking about the pandemic and their experiences during the pandemic. But during the pandemic, I think we had far too many experts who were, in the end, people that knew very little, probably little more than the rest of us. It seemed that common sense really wasn't part of anybody's equation. And instead, debate and questioning were often and usually silenced, as unless you had the same degrees and the same experiences and positions as the so-called experts, you were in no position to question anything. Does that sound familiar? That was my experience throughout the pandemic. Legitimate questions were not allowed as it was interpreted as a threat or even an act of insubordination. I'm sure that many of you experienced this also. The fact of the matter was, no one had any experience managing a worldwide pandemic or health crisis, and instead of offering humility along with honesty in policy decisions, we were told to question the narrative was a denial of science. My hope is that we can all learn from those mistakes that were made and hold our leaders accountable for truth and honesty. So the second question that the students asked me was, do I consider myself an expert? And, if you had asked me that 20 years ago, I probably would have said yes. And if you had asked me that 30 years ago, I definitely would have said yes. But asking me today will give you only one answer. Absolutely not. I am not an expert. I do have experience and I do have some accumulated wisdom, but one thing that I've learned is that one never fully masters their profession. There's always something new to discover, and something always waits around the corner, waiting to humble you. So why would I have considered myself an expert 30 years ago? Well, to put it simply, I didn't know what I didn't know. What I did know, I was pretty confident in, and I hadn't run up against so many humbling incidents in a very short career at that time. And so that's how I felt. Now, my hope for my students and for any of you is to accept that there are more unknowns than knowns out there. You can't possibly know it all. If you work in healthcare and you don't learn something new every single day, you definitely aren't paying attention. And trust me, however smart you think you may be today, your future self will be there to embarrass you in the future. Take care and have a good night. Bye.